state of West Bengal and Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee citing the horrors of Sandeshkhali. The Prime Minister questioned the Bengal government over its failure to serve justice to the women of Sandeshkhali who have made serious allegations of exploitation and sexual assault against the local former TMC leaders. TMC strongman Sheikh Shahjahan, who now stands suspended from the party, was arrested after being on a run for almost 55 days. Presently in police custody, the charges against the TMC leader are serious in nature. They include attempt to murder and dacoity. But he is yet to be charged with sections of sexual exploitation or sexual assault. Certain allegations that have been made in the public domain but are yet to find themselves in an FIR or an investigation against Sheikh Shahjahan. The Prime Minister's sharp attack against the TMC has clearly drawn the battle lines. Sandeshkhali is the biggest political flashpoint. BJP cites systematic exploitation in Sandeshkhali to argue that TMC has not just failed to maintain the law and order, but has also failed to be true to its promises that it made to the women of West Bengal. Well, with its core voter base under a political threat, how will TMC tackle the fiasco of Sandeshkhali? We discuss all these aspects on Plain Speak tonight.
TMC ने बंगाल में अपराध और भ्रष्टाचार का एक नया मॉडल पैदा कर दिया है। अपराधियों को संरक्षण के बदले टीएमसी नेताओं को भर भर के पैसे मिलते हैं। बीजेपी के दबाव में आखिरकार कल बंगाल पुलिस ने आपकी ताकत के सामने झुक करके उस आरोपी को गिरफ्तार करना पड़ा है।
इंडी गठबंधन के बड़े बड़े नेता संदेशखाली पर आंख, कान, मुंह सब ये बंद करके बैठे हैं। टीएमसी ने बंगाल में अपराध और भ्रष्टाचार का एक नया मॉडल पैदा कर दिया है। कांग्रेस के राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष कहते हैं, अरे छोड़ो, बंगाल में तो ये सब कुछ चलता रहता है। क्या ये बंगाल का अपमान है कि नहीं है?
Well, Sheikh Shahjahan has been arrested after 55 days, but there are many questions that remain unanswered. Well, first of all, has the TMC government completely failed to maintain the rule of law? They argue otherwise, but if you look at the sort of allegations that have come on record, it only shows that at least in Sandeshkhali, there is enough anecdotal and empirical evidence to argue that the rule of law was not maintained. Why did the administration fail on the women of Sandeshkhali when the law takes it very seriously? What took so long to arrest Sheikh Shahjahan? There were many reasons that were cited, but 55 days. More importantly, it was only after the intervention of the High Court that it seems that the administration swung into action. Moving on, how did Shahjahan manage to flee after the ED raid? He's also accused of obstructing the government officers or the officers who were on public duty. That's one of the charges against him in that FIR. Did the West Bengal police shield Sheikh Shahjahan? That's also something that repeatedly BJP is asking. Politically, it will be interesting to see how it pans out, and that leads us to the point that will we see the Central Bureau of Investigation step into this case? West Bengal government is unlikely to refer this case to the CBI, so the only avenue which is left is that if the judiciary steps in, if there is a PIL or BJP moves the court, and how will TMC fight the battle of political perception? In the run-up to the big Lok Sabha elections, Sandeshkhali has become the big flashpoint. BJP has taken this battle to the nook and corner of the state of West Bengal on those seats. The Lok Sabha seats, clearly, in West Bengal are going to be very, very important for the India alliance. So we talk about this big issue tonight on Plain Speak. Prime Minister's unsparing attack on the TMC government. This is the biggest flashpoint ahead of polls. And how will the TMC fight this battle of perception? Well, we are joined by Anju Balaji, who is an NCSC member. She's with us on the broadcast. Namaskar, Anju Balaji. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. आपसे जानना चाहेंगे, आखिर में वो गिरफ्तारी हुई है जिसका सभी को इंतजार था। 55 दिन लगे उस गिरफ्तारी को होने में, पर क्या आप वेस्ट बंगाल की पुलिस ने जो भी एक्शन लिया है अभी तक, उससे संतुष्ट हैं पूरी तरह से?
बिल्कुल कहेंगे कि संतुष्ट नहीं है, क्योंकि ये जो बहुत देर पहले हो जाना चाहिए था और 55 दिन बीत गए और उसके बाद में आप जगह भी हो, आपने गिरफ्तार किया, तो इसका मतलब ये साफ जाहिर होता है कि वो अपराधी था और आप उसको 55 दिन तक संरक्षण देती रही, आप उनको छुपाती रही, लेकिन आखिरकार सत्य की जीत हुई। और जो लड़ाई हम सीधे कहेंगे, आज माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी को मैं बार बार धन्यवाद देना चाहती हूँ, माननीय गृह मंत्री जी को धन्यवाद देना चाहती हूँ, माननीय मंत्री स्मृति ईरानी जी को धन्यवाद देना चाहती हूँ, जिन्होंने जब इसको एक मुहिम बना के स्टार्ट किया और ये हम कमीशन तक भी ये बात आई, और उसमें खासकर मैं मीडिया के भाइयों को, मैंने पहले भी बोला, आप सबको भी बोला कि आपका खासकर धन्यवाद आप सबका है, जिन्होंने इस न्यूज़ को उजागर किया और हम लोगों तक ये न्यूज़ पहुंची। और हमारी कमीशन की टीम और अन्य बहुत सारी टीम वहाँ पे गई हैं। लेकिन जब हम लोग 15 तारीख को वहाँ पहुँचे, मैंने आपसे पहले भी इस बात पे डिस्कस किया था कि जब हम 15 तारीख को पहुँचे, हमें भी रोकने की भरपूर कोशिश की गई, हम लोगों को भी हर तरीके से उन्होंने जो कोशिश हो सकती थी कि हम ना पहुँचे। लेकिन जब हम पहुँचने के बाद में जो हमारी बहनें थी, उन्होंने जो आप बीती बनाई, जो बताई हम लोगों को, और आपके मीडिया के माध्यम से जब पूरे देश ने देखी,
बिल्कुल
देश
बिल्कुल।
के
और
अंदर
जब इस तरह का मुद्दा लोगों के सामने आता है, तभी कभी कभी कार्यवाही होती है, आपने सही कहा। लेकिन आप भी जब वहां गई, आपने महिलाओं से बात की, या हमने जो अपने रिपोर्ट्स में देखा है, हमारी रिपोर्टर भी हैं वहां पर जो एक कवर कर रही हैं, शेख शाहजहां की सिर्फ गिरफ्तारी हुई है, उनके ऊपर अभी भी कोई रेप या सेक्सुअल एक्सप्लॉयटेशन का मुकदमा पूरी तरीके से या नया मुकदमा दर्ज नहीं हुआ है। पुराने जो चल रहे हैं वो एक अलग बात है। जिन औरतों ने सामने आकर अपनी आपबीती सुनाई है, उनको इंसाफ मिलना कितना ज़रूरी है, एंड मोर इम्पॉर्टेंटली ये आप जिस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन से हैं या भारत सरकार की जो बाकी दूसरी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हैं, ये कैसे इंश्योर करेंगे कि सिर्फ गिरफ्तारी नहीं, कहीं ना कहीं इंसाफ के इस पूरे प्रोसेस में उनको कहीं ना कहीं हेल्प मिलती रहे?
ये मैं सभी आज अपने देशवासियों को भी बताना चाहती हूँ, आश्वस्त भी करना चाहती हूँ, क्योंकि आपके माध्यम से, क्योंकि आप एक एक पहलू को जब लेके आते हैं सामने और ये सारी जो दुनिया देखती है, उनको भी ये पता चलना चाहिए कि अब इसमें कार्रवाई होगी भी कैसे और करनी भी होगी। सरकार चाहे कितना भी उनको बचाने की कोशिश करे, लेकिन जब हम वहाँ गए थे, जब ये स्टार्टिंग में जब ये हुआ कि ये तो न्यूज़ ही फेक है, और उन्होंने विधानसभा में भी इस बात को बोला कि ये तो प्रोजेक्ट की हुई है, लेकिन जब हम गए और हमें रिटर्न में लेटर मिला है, वो रिटर्न जो लेटर हमारे पास आई है, उसके बाद नोटिस हुआ, नोटिस होने के बाद ही 17 तारीख को उसमें हत्या और जो मर्डर मतलब हत्या का और रेप का जो केस है वो बाद में बढ़ा दिया गया, क्योंकि जो चीज़ें हुई थी उसको उजागर किया नहीं गया था। लेकिन जब महिलाएं हमारे सामने अपनी आपबीती बताई और उन्होंने सारी बात जब हमारे सामने रखी, तो इनको ना चाहते हुए भी जो 17 तारीख को इनको वो करना पड़ा और वो हत्या और रेप की इन्होंने धारा बढ़ाई। और रही बात इनकी शेख शाहजहां की, 55 दिन आपने बहुत पनाह ले ली, बहुत आप घूम लिए, लेकिन जो सत्यता है वो हमारी बहनें सामने आके अपने जब 164 उनके बयान होंगे, अपने बयान में जब वो बताएंगे तो ये कैसे उनको झुठला देंगे? क्योंकि सीधी सी बात है, अभी जब गिरफ्तारी को लेके भी बात हुई तो अभिषेक बनर्जी ने सीधे कह दिया कि हाई कोर्ट ने तो उनको गिरफ्तार करने के लिए या कार्रवाई के लिए मना किया है, लेकिन जब 26 तारीख को हाई कोर्ट की सीधे फटकार पड़ती है कि उसको गिरफ्तारी भी होनी चाहिए, और जब हमारे चीफ जस्टिस उसमें वहाँ के राज्यपाल जी वहाँ पे कहते हैं कि हमें आप पूरी वहाँ से खबर दीजिए, नहीं तो 72 घंटे के अंदर आपको फिर रिपोर्ट सबमिट करनी पड़ेगी, और 29 तारीख को गिरफ्तारी होती है। ये एक जीत है उन बहनों की जिन्होंने सच की आवाज़ उठाई, ये जीत है उस पार्टी की जो एक अलख लगा के अपने आप की परवाह ना करते हुए ICU तक भर्ती हो गए। तो इसमें हम सीधे कहते हैं, जो सच की लड़ाई के लिए निकलता है वो इंसाफ दिला के रहता है, और मुझे पूरी उम्मीद है कि अब ये गिरफ्त में आ गए हैं तो ये छूटने नहीं चाहिए, क्योंकि देश पूरा देख रहा है और देश
अंजू जी, क्या इसमें सीबीआई कार्यवाही होनी चाहिए, क्योंकि मसला अभी भी वेस्ट बंगाल पुलिस के पास है? क्या एक निष्पक्ष जांच की उम्मीद की जा सकती है वेस्ट बंगाल पुलिस से?
नहीं, बिल्कुल हम लोग उनसे बिल्कुल भी उम्मीद नहीं कर सकते हैं। जिन्होंने 55 दिन लगा दिया उनको सिर्फ महज गिरफ्तारी करने में, तो हमें बिल्कुल भी उम्मीद नहीं है कि वो सही से वर्क करेंगे। और हम चाहते हैं कि पूरी सीबीआई जांच हो, ताकि जांच जब ये उनके पास जाएगी पूरा प्रॉपरली इस पे निगरानी होगी, तभी ही ये नहीं बच पाएंगे।
जी, मेरा निवेदन है, हमारे साथ बनी रहिए। आई वांट टू इंट्रोड्यूस अदर गेस्ट्स एज वेल हु आर विद अस ऑन द ब्रॉडकास्ट। मिस्टर गोपाल अग्रवाल, हु इज द नेशनल स्पोक्सपर्सन ऑफ बीजेपी, मोहम्मद तौसीफुर रहमान, हु इज द स्पोक्सपर्सन ऑफ ऑल इंडिया तृणमूल कांग्रेस, Saira Shah Halim, who is a noted author and activist, is also joining us on the broadcast. Good evening, all of you. Thank you so much for joining us. We discuss a serious issue tonight. Of course, the Prime Minister has made a blistering attack. Mr. Tauseefur Rahman, sir, I'd like you to open the debate. Anju Balaji ने बहुत सारी बातें बोली. She made her, comments, and the fact that TMC decided to suspend the leader who is under question right now only shows that the party realizes the heinous acts he's been involved into. The million-dollar question is that why did it take an opposition to go to town and this issue to dominate the headlines for more than 55 days, for TMC to take action and for the law and order to do its job that it should have in the first place?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
First of all, I mean, it's a news, and I understand you're doing your job as well. And Anjuji, I was hearing Anjuji very patiently, and I didn't understand whether Anjuji is representing NCW or she's representing Bharatiya Janata Dal Party, because she's so angry against Trinamool Congress and she's supporting, and she's very much in favor of Bhajpa कि अगर वो नहीं होते तो आज उनको शायद जस्टिस नहीं मिलता. Justice or injustice की बात वो तो later on देखी जाएगी, what is going to happen in Sandeshkhali. But I tell you something, when you talk about 55 days, at least Shahjahan has been arrested. Shibu Hajra is behind the bars. 17 other accused are behind the bars. At least he is not Brij Bhushan, who's roaming like a lion and laughing on Wrestling Federation and laughing on all the women who is a part of Wrestling Federation. Where Sakshi Malik was crying. Where was Anju ji? Where was Rekha ji? ये लोग कहाँ थे, मैडम? मैं इनसे पूछना चाह रहा हूँ. And again, when you come about fact, when you want to talk about fact, when ED came to West Bengal and they wanted to arrest Sheikh Shahjahan, they went there without any lookout notice. There was an attack. Even I understand, we never supported that. We always said to all the national agencies, there are some sensitive area. If you want to go for a raid, you can always ask help, which is not compiled, which is not compressed, which is not mandatory at all. I understand. But if you want to do a raid, West Bengal police and the state nationalists can always help you. But why the ED asked the court to stop the investigation and it was granted? I can tell you with the summon what is written. Later, when they requested the court to put a stay on the investigation and it was granted. And then when it was granted, the state machineries had to back out. Just 4 days back, when the court asked to intervene, the state police within 48 hours nabbed Shahjahan and they have put him behind the bars. Now the allegation starts. Now the case will start.
Tauseef, I have one question, and it's a genuine question, not a rhetorical question.
No. I understand.
No, one question, sir, and then you can continue on your argument. Was there a court order that stopped the West Bengal police from arresting Sheikh Shahjahan? That you were waiting for the oral, observations of the High Court for the police to do its job that it should have in the first place? I have been a student of law, and I don't think there can be any protection that can be granted to any accused who has been, named by several women, saying that we were sexually exploited, there were, labor right exploitations that were done, serious matters that have been brought on record. What kind of court order existed that you had to wait for the Calcutta High Court to do its job?
Let's talk on this. It's a very good question. I totally agree. Now, during an ED arrest, ED officials were hurt in an attack. Okay. ED Deputy Director filed a complaint in Nazat Police Station on the matter and investigation began. Later, they requested the court to put a stay on the investigation. Who requested? The ED requested to put a stay on the investigation and it was granted.
Okay.
Since then, Sheikh Shahjahan was absconding. Later on, this assault, this rape and all this came in front of everyone.
Okay.
Then, just before 4 days, the court intervened, gave a strict action to the state machinery that you need to arrest Sheikh Shah Jahan. But you tell me something, Anushka, the kind of interest, the kind of seriousness. First, I tell you one thing. Even Sarah is there. I respect Sarah Shah Halim, and I respect Anju ji as well. Any dignity of any woman is non-negotiable. You cannot negotiate anyone's dignity, especially when she's a female. But you can't manipulate this. I mean, today Narendra Modi, he's talking like, it's funny what he's doing there. I mean, if we are going to ask some questions,
no.
I'll tell you something.
I will ask BJP the question. The point that you have repeatedly said, that this entire incident is being politicized by the BJP for their advantage. I will ask that question to Gopal Agarwal ji. He is with us on the broadcast. But I asked you a very pointed question. Was there a court order that stopped you from arresting Sheikh Shah Jahan?
Yes.
No, there was not. No, there was not.
It was done by ED. There should be no investigation. There should be any investigation with PMLA. PMLA's thing only ED can intervene.
You're absolutely right. It was only for that particular case. It was only for that particular case. It's not an omnibus order. It's not an omnibus order that applies to any new allegation that comes on record. But Gopal Agarwal ji, please come into the discussion. TMC raises certain pertinent points that in BJP rule states as well, there have been many instances that have come on record where women have made certain serious allegations, and these are sitting leaders of the BJP, elected representatives from the BJP, and the BJP has not taken any action. Look, at least the TMC accepted and acknowledged that yes, there was a problem, and they suspended Sheikh Shah Jahan. You haven't done that with many leaders who have been equally accused of such heinous offences. Gopalji.
We have to understand the law and order is the issue with the state. They are responsible for maintaining law and order, women protection, safety of the women, and everything. So it is not the question of how you debate or politically or what, but the question is that Sandeshkhali was an epicenter of such brutality on the women of that place. They had several times complained to the local TMC leaders. They had said, and they were being exploited. And it is 55 days after which this Shahjahan Sheikh was arrested, when it was finally
I'll let you interject, sir. Let him finish his arguments. Let him finish his arguments. Let him finish his arguments. I will allow your interjection.
The thing is,
yes,
is it TMC has done this because they think that BJP at some states have not taken care of the or not taken action? They have done it because of that. They have to make it clear. Are they protecting? We are discussing Sandeshkhali. We are discussing Sheikh Shah Jahan's arrest. We are discussing West Bengal brutality on women, their rape, their land grab and other atrocities. So at that point of time, the argument
one at a time,
is that we have not done this. We have not arrested Sheikh Shah Jahan. We have not taken action against Sheikh Shah Jahan because
before I bring in Sarah Shah Halim into the discussion. Tasir ji,
I have not interjected. The TMC
can I come in now? All right, gentlemen, please allow a moment. Let Sarah Shah Halim also make her opening arguments. Gopal ji, I'll come back to you.
I'd like to make it very clear.
All right, one second. Gopal ji, finish your arguments. Finish your argument. 30 seconds to you, then I'll go to Sarah.
My issue is...
It's very... Let me finish.
First we have to accept that...
Gopal Agarwal, please.
TMC people have to accept that they have their own people whom they were giving protection, against whom there were several complaints and serious complaints, and they did not take action.
Point taken, sir. But the question that the TMC was asking you was that does BJP has the moral license and authority to ask that question? I'll come back to you.
Answer to a question is not a question.
I agree. What about we cannot be the best defense?
Question is not a question.
What about we cannot be the best defense? Sarah Shah Halim, make your point.
It's my turn to talk.
Yes, please.
So it is very clear that Sheikh Shah Jahan had been evading arrest by both state and central agencies for more than a month. And it's been 55 days that he was on the run. It's taken, so it is evident that he was being protected by the powers to be. I've already said that before. Now, here what is important is to gauge that Shah Jahan's arrest comes 3 days after the Calcutta High Court Chief Justice ordered to add Sheikh Shah Jahan's name to the Sandeshkhali's case. Earlier, his name was not added. Here, we need to understand that we cannot communalize this episode. We need to think in a pragmatic manner that there are women who have been exploited for years. There have been
Okay.
cases
Crime
of
is
land
crime.
grab. There have been
Communalizing
allegations
issue
of
is not the
sexual
issue. If
exploitation. So communalizing the
All
issue
right,
and
gentlemen,
saying
I
that
believe
communalizing of the
America
issue
is
is
not going to help the issue. Here
No,
we need to
understand
communalizing
understand
is
it was
political
impoverished women
statement.
on Sundays
no.
Khali.
The million dollar question that really comes here is the fact. The million dollar question that really comes here is, and I'll give the last word to the TMC as I wrap up this debate, that sir, the best argument that you have cannot be political whataboutery. You ought to act when all these complaints were earlier made. I'm being told that there's a piece of important breaking news which is coming in at this point in time. We'll cut across to those developments as well. On that note, I'd have to wrap up this debate, but the breaking bit of news right now. Let's cut across to those details coming in. These are the CCTV visuals that we'll break here on CNN News 18. This is the footage from the blast site that we continue to get you. This is how the entire blast actually unfolded. Quite difficult visuals there. Viewer discretion is advised. And this is the exact moment of blast, exactly how it turned out in that cafe in Bengaluru, in that restaurant in Bengaluru, where 9 people were affected, they were injured, and they're receiving treatment at a local hospital. My colleague Ritu with us on the broadcast to give us more details about this entire story. Ritu, we are playing out the CCTV visuals of the blast. Take us through what exactly has the Chief Minister said on record.
Well, you see, what the Chief Minister of Karnataka, PM Siddaramaiah, is confirming is that it's a low-intensity explosion that has taken place at this cafe. It comes under the police station, a Whiteside police station limits, and therein the further investigation is on with what the police. In fact, what the Karnataka PM Siddaramaiah has to say, but on the other side, you see various agencies and the team officials are all there at the spot collecting the samples of where this explosion took place and how exactly the incident happened. Various CCTV footages has also been collected is what we are understanding from our police sources as well, and they are trying to understand how it exactly happened, because now we see what the DDIGP Alok Mohan is also confirming is that yes, they have recovered some sort of a battery, the wires and balls as well. So yes, it looks like very, it's been suspecting is in the very serious, the serious injuries that 3 of them have also met while they are already hospitalized as well. Almost around 9 of them are in the hospital going through. So that treatment at this point in time. On the other hand, you see the politics has also erupted with questions being raised on the Karnataka CM Siddaramaiah over this incident now.
All right. Ritu, once again, for the benefit of our viewers, could you just reiterate the Chief Minister, his statement so far? What has the preliminary investigation really revealed? That's the exact moment of the blast, and viewer discretion is advised. As we play out that CCTV visual from the blast site, from that restaurant, 9 people have been injured. The Chief Minister has confirmed that this was a blast. What kind of blast, who exactly is responsible, is something we'll get to know as the investigation proceeds. Arunima also with us on the broadcast. Arunima, please tell us more.
So looks like it was an IED. The footprint of it seems very similar to what we have seen in the past also. At a time when Indian Mujahideen was at its peak, at crowded places, at marketplaces, this kind of a modus operandi was used. What was the modus operandi? Use, low-grade explosives, ammonium nitrate or similar explosives, pack it with splinters nuts and bolts, keep it in a tight container, use battery, wire and a detonator. IM was dismantled, but that modus operandi remained even as recently as the Coimbatore suicide bomb blast that happened. From the boot of the car, there were nuts and bolts that were recovered, and there was an LPG cylinder that had gone off. So all of these are being studied at the moment. What we know in terms of recovery and in terms of what eyewitnesses have told and what the CCTV footage is telling the investigators are these 3 points. One, this was nowhere near the kitchen, and therefore the initial suspicion of a cylinder blast is being ruled out. Second, it is very clear now that it was a low-grade explosive. Low grade, by that we are meaning that it was not the RDX kind, but it could have, the impact is if you can see the CCTV footage, the impact is, enough to throw people off their balance. The lady who's grievously injured is seen in the CCTV footage, sprawled on the ground. If you see the survivors, some of them, women at least, girls, and even men who were sitting in that waiting area, their clothes have been ripped off their back. So that is the kind of explosion we are talking about. They have injuries, shrapnel injuries, so it is very clear that the intention was to take the IED to a crowded place, pack it with as many nuts and bolts, because then when it goes off, it causes very severe physical injury. So that seems to be the preliminary investigation. That's what they're saying. That seems to be the motive.
Okay.
Forensics will tell us what kind of explosive was used. And the CCTV could have captured the person who put that bag there. It seems that the entire IED was packed in a tight container and put inside a bag.
Yeah.
So CCTV is being scanned to identify who put the bag there. And then the next course of action of identifying all the active modules, the sleeper cells in that area, that will begin.
Arunima, in the afternoon when we were conversing, you pointed out to an SOP that exists whenever a blast of this nature happened. Now that it's confirmed that it was not a cylinder blast, is it a given? Is it automatic that NIA will step in?
The NIA has already stepped in. NIA's local team has visited the area. They have been part of the evidence gathering process. They have been associated with the local police from the word go. So unofficially, informally, because the standard operating procedure is very clear, they are on the ground. And that's a huge advantage when if they ultimately begin probe. Now, if this is a terror case, NIA is the premier anti-terror investigation agency. All the terror cases in this country ultimately go to NIA. The law has been amended to say that even if the state government doesn't want to hand it over to NIA, the center can do it suo moto. So we have to wait and see whether, forgetting their political differences, the Siddaramaiah government and the Narendra Modi government can come together, because this is a serious business that we're talking about. And Karnataka has been sensitive for quite some time. PFI modules have been busted there. Cell-style radicalized ISIS modules in Shivaganga have been, busted there as well. So if they have now come to rock the main city, and this is a very popular cafe, one just hopes that the politicians will keep the politics aside and get down to serious business of investigating and pinning down the blame on all those who were part of this conspiracy.
Absolutely. Ritu continues to stay with us on the broadcast. Ritu, so far 9 people were reportedly injured. Chief Minister has issued a statement. Even before it was officially confirmed that it was a blast, I mean not a cylinder blast but an IED blast of this nature, the NIA team, as part of a basic SOP, was already there collecting and gathering forensic evidence. Now that it's confirmed that it was not a cylinder blast, in fact it was an explosive that was planted by somebody, NIA really steps in already on ground zero. What kind of assurance Chief Minister has given so far, and any other preliminary details that you've picked up from the local police sources or the teams which are working on the ground on the spot? Ritu, if you can hear me, if you're still with us.
Yeah, well, I couldn't
I was asking you about what exactly are the preliminary details which have emerged from the investigation so far. Specifically tell our viewers that ever since that news was reported at around 2 p.m. till about 6:30 p.m. so far, what is it that we know of this incident?
Well, you see, the officials many officials are still at the cafe trying to collect all those samples as well, and understanding every footprint of what exactly happened from the starting to the end point of this whole Rameshwaram cafe in the Bengaluru, which comes under the Whitefield police station limits. So therein you see what the DG ITP Alok Mohan is also is that yes, there was an explosion there. In fact, the police is trying to understand that who was the person who had come with it, because there are also that there was a person who had come with the bag. So how did he place it? Did they really take a coupon as well for the food order as well? So all that is under the investigation, whether that person is a local person or someone from outside the city or probably from the outside the state as well. So all that the police officials are now trying to track as well. So who that particular person was, whether he really had someone in contact with, whether he had come in with some vehicle here near the cafe.
Those are the exact moments of the blast. Viewers on the left-hand side of your screen, we've been playing out those visuals for you. Viewer discretion is advised on these visuals. This is the exact moment of the blast when it happened. Fortunately, it was a low-intensity blast, so no casualties have been reported. The teams are on the ground doing their work. I want to cut across to my colleague Harish Padhyay and get more details on the story. Harish, you are on ground zero. Tell us more.
Well, two things very clear now, that there was one man who's kept this suspected explosive at that spot. Remember, this is the main entrance to Rameshwaram Cafe, and where the blast has occurred is in the side entrance or the side area where there is a road, and one man in the CCTV area is seen going to the cashier, the suspect taking a token, and also the same man is seen leaving a bag that later on explodes. It is suspected that he was carrying explosive in that particular bag, which has been kept somewhere near the hand wash, is what the police are telling right now. So clear evidence of who this man was, the suspect. Now moving on to what the FSL team and the police have found. One, at the spot, they have found a 9-volt HW battery that is used in several of these low ID blasts that we have seen in multiple places. At the same time, doctors who are treating these injured are saying that there are metal fragments that are lodged in the skin of some of these injured, which is once again a pattern that we see in a low intensity IED blast. There's also traces of chemicals is what they are saying.
Yeah.
Third is the technical details or the technical evidence that's being gathered in terms of the call record details of this area, the mobile phone tower dumps, because that played a vital role in cracking one of the terror cases earlier in Bengaluru, and that was a blinder, and it was only through the mobile phone tower dump that they managed to crack that case. So that is again being pursued. The Deputy Chief Minister also saying that they're also going through the CCTV footage in the 2-kilometer vicinity to see who's been moving around in this area. So all this is being collected right now, and also the larger CCTV of Rameshwaram Cafe to see if there are people who might have come for recce. That also being collected by the police and being scrutinized even as we speak. So multiple teams working, although the state government hasn't officially passed on this case to the NIA or officially sought help. On the ground level, officers telling that they're coordinating with the Central Intelligence as well as the NIA in terms of perhaps sleeper cells that might have got activated in the recent past, any others who might have been involved. Because remember, there are similarities to other blasts that have happened. We've seen the Bengaluru cooker blast that happened. In that case as well, it was an ID. It was just one man who was working. Fortunately, that went off in an auto, not the destination that they wanted to explode or trigger that bomb in. That was the Shimoga ISIS module that was behind it. That has been dismantled by the NIA after arresting all the individuals who were part of it. Similarities to the Coimbatore blast as well. Even in that case, the NIA has managed to crack down there. Perhaps are people who were in touch with them. Are they behind it? All these aspects perhaps is something that another team will work on.
So Harish, before I go to Arunima, and we also have Mr. Shashikant, the leading security expert, joining us on the broadcast. He's a former DGP also. But before I go to Arunima, Harish, a quick word on the two blasts that you're talking about, say the Coimbatore blast and the other cases that the NIA have cracked so far. What was it? Who were these, individuals or organizations which were responsible for these blasts?
Well, if you look at the Bengaluru cooker blast, it was the ISIS module of the Shimoga, and they were involved in multiple such terror activity, and Sharik is one man who was the suspect. In that case, it was easier for the police because Sharik was the injured. He was in the auto and he was arrested. But certain similarities, Ritu had covered Bengaluru blast, Ritu's similarities over there and here as well. Even there, they'd used a circuit, there was a rubber mat and then a battery that was used to trigger that ID. Here, a ID has been recovered. What was the explosive used? We are yet to know.
Well, exactly. Even in the Mangalore incident, as you rightly mentioned, it was again an explosion that we had witnessed. And then we did see that, how did the report come out to say that there was a low intensity blast, and moreover those materials that were secured as well. Similarly, we are seeing it in this incident as well, wherein you see the IG Alok Mohan himself saying that they have recovered some sort of materials that way, the explosive materials as well. So all that will be further sent to the FSL team for an investigation purpose to understand what exactly happened, who was the person who had entered the cafe, from where he was, whether he was from a city or a local boy or from a different state. So all that travel journey and everything will now on a record will be tracked.
True. Exactly. That is something that it's a similar initiative or step that they've taken in Bengaluru, and successfully they had managed to crack that case. In this case, let's also remember that they have leads, but if in the next 24 hours or so, if it doesn't lead to some concrete action, then there will be pressure on the state police and the state government to officially transfer this case to the
To the
NIA
NIA.
and help them with the probe. So that is something we'll see in the next 24 hours perhaps.
Harish and Ritu, please continue to stay with us on the show. Arunima also with us on the broadcast live. Arunima, the updates that you're picking up.
So the updates are about the physical evidence that has been gathered by the police from the spot, which is giving them a clear indication about this being an IED blast. Initially, it was suspected that perhaps a gas cylinder went off, but now because they have managed to recover nuts and bolts, they have managed to recover the 9-volt battery. That is not the kind of battery that you usually utilize, not the kind of battery you would use to operate a transistor or any other device. That's a specific 9-volt battery, the case of which has been recovered. So that's a crucial lead. We are told a timer device has also been found. Now, in the past, again, to draw parallel to when the Indian Mujahideen, and that's 2008, 2009 that we are talking about. But since then, this is a pattern that investigators have seen. At that point, they used to use Ajanta battery, clocks as timer devices. In this case, also, we are told a timer device has been recovered, but we don't know exactly what kind of a timer was used. Wires all packed into a container with nuts and bolts and a low-grade explosive. Now, this low-grade explosive, in the past, all the cell-style ISIS modules, Bengaluru blast, Ritu and Harish, we're talking about Coimbatore, we've already mentioned. And just to give you a background of where all of this started, the Easter blast that happened in Sri Lanka, that really, set the alarm bells ringing for the Indian agencies. Also, they in fact had tipped off their counterparts in Sri Lanka. And there's a common thread since then that we are seeing. And the common usage of the kind of material, commonly available nitrate compounds, tightly packing it into a container and taking it to a place where maximum crowd is there. I spoke to you about the kind of injuries that we have, clothes being ripped off the back of survivors, shows that the nuts and bolts are huge in number. Who were the people responsible? Popular Front of India and their, sleeper modules. PFI is now a brand organization. But are they trying to make a comeback using a different name, or are these self-radicalized people like we have seen in the Shimoga module, like we have seen in the Coimbatore module? Are these self-radicalized people? Why was this particular cafe targeted? Only because it's a popular joint which was bound to see a lot of crowd around lunchtime, or was there some other idea behind this? So those are the lines of investigation that the investigators are taking at the moment.
All right. Harish, Arunima and Ritu continue to stay with us on the broadcast. Shashikanji, thank you so much for joining us on the show. Good evening. When you heard this news, your first thoughts, and it's been confirmed as a blast. It was not some untoward incident or a gas cylinder blast earlier that it was expected to be. The Chief Minister is on record to say this. Of course, a very serious incident because this is a very popular eatery in the city of Bengaluru, the IT capital of the country. Not just a law and order problem, a national security issue, but also the kind of messaging that it sends. We are a thriving economy. It also comes on a day, or just a day after the GDP numbers have been wonderful. So it doesn't send the right messaging. But your thoughts on how it has transpired, and with the preliminary information which is available, what can you make out of it?
Look, Karnataka has a history of IED blasts.
Yeah.
I'll take you back to 2008, and there was a series of IED blasts in some train near Bangalore. Then again, 2014, when one Mehdi Sarkar, if I'm not wrong, he was arrested. He was from Simi. And around that same time, 2019 or something, one this was Mujahideen Society or Jamaatul Mujahideen of Bangladesh. They were active. All these persons were involved in this kind of activities. And the latest being 2023, when 5 persons were arrested, they had connection with LET, they were in some locality of Bengaluru itself, and they had come out of the jail where they had met some person who had been wanted in some cases of serial blasts. So it all shows that, yes, whether it's Mujahideen, Bangladesh, whether it's IS, whether it's maybe I don't know, maybe PFI, whatever it is. There appears to be a clear-cut connection between all these things, and the very fact that these blasts having taken place in Karnataka, they all have low intensity. We call them IEDs, etc., etc. I see a clear pattern. And somebody is masterminding these things, giving the know-how, how to go about it. That is
sir, is there a pattern that you see, is what I'm trying to ask of you?
Yes, it's the pattern. That's what I'm telling you. Right from your 2008, number of blasts have taken place, whether it's a Bengaluru or Bangalore or wherever it is, there's a clear-cut pattern. And the persons who have been coming into notice of the NIA and the police authorities, intelligence agencies, they are either Bangladeshi Mujahideens or IS or LET. So it appears that Bangalore has a strong hold. They're hiding somewhere. They're holed up somewhere. And police, I think, very soon they'll crack them up and they'll all be arrested, I'm sure. But yes, there's a clear-cut pattern.
They reflect a pattern, and at some level, this is also the wrong perception, the wrong messaging for any state, especially a state like Karnataka with its thriving economy, the city of Bengaluru, which is looked up to. Harish and Ritu continue to be with us on the broadcast. Harish, once again, for the benefit of our viewers, what has the Chief Minister said on record? How strong is the possibility that this case could soon be referred to NIA? On this particular issue, I'm sure the centre and the state government would want to be seen together instead of having any kind of political blame game on it. Any political voices that have come in so far?
Well, we've already seen the political blame game over it. We've seen the BJP leaders coming out and saying that across the country we haven't had a single blast in the recent past. That's because of Modi's leadership. And it's only in Karnataka that we have seen a blast. That's because the Congress government is forever busy with appeasement politics and doesn't crack down on certain elements. That's what they said. The Chief Minister not politicizing it, but saying that this is a time that the opposition works with us. Let's not politicize the whole issue. This shouldn't have happened, but it has happened. It hadn't happened in the recent past, in the last few months in Karnataka. But he's also quick to point out that the last blast happened in Bangalore when BJP was in power. But he said, nonetheless, let's try and work towards getting who the people are who were behind this blast. But in a short while from now, you will have the state BJP president addressing the media, and perhaps you can expect the kind of narrative that the BJP would want to set via the press conference of B.Y. Vijayendra, because over the last few months, the BJP has been trying to corner this government, saying that they are trying or they're busy with minority appeasement that is hitting development, and disproportionate amount of state's exchequer money is going towards the minorities, and the majoritarian community has been shortchanged. That's the narrative that they were trying to create. And now they get one more opportunity to say that this government hasn't acted on law and order as well. And when you have the Chief Minister and the Deputy Chief Minister not coming out and clearly calling it an explosion or a bomb blast, they will say that the state government is going soft on this entire investigation. That's something that we can expect or anticipate to happen in the next hour or so. But as I mentioned, a lot depends on what Bengaluru police find in the next perhaps 24 hours, because then that would be crucial. Remember, even in the Bengaluru blast case, that managed to arrest this man, or he was in the auto, he was the suspect and he was in the hospital. So it had to be about going back on his track and finding out who had met and what the motive was. But in this case, they don't have anybody. Right now, it is establishing the identity of the man found in the CCTV and his whole gang.
All right, Arish, as we talk about the story and the details which are emerging, could you tell us about what exactly is happening on the spot? I'm sure there must be multiple teams working there to gather the forensic evidence, any evidence that has been left behind. Any witness, any eyewitness accounts that you've heard so far, what have they told you? Because in an investigation of this nature, as Mr. Shashikant was also pointing out, if there is a pattern, then eyewitness accounts, forensic evidence, those are the preliminary things that you find for an investigation to move forward. So just how does the scene really look like?
Well, in the initial hour itself, although there was a suspicion that it could be a LPG blast, what really gave away the fact that this was something far more serious is the presence of senior police officials. Even as we speak, you have the City Police Commissioner, Mr. Dayanand, still present there. Top intel officers of the state who are currently there, Alok Mohan and others. We've had the state DGP, state police chief, who visited this spot, something that you wouldn't see if it's a LPG explosion that happens. And that's one of the main reasons why that the state police has given so much importance, because in the initial hour itself, it was very clear to them that this was a sinister ploy to create terror that had taken place here, and it needed that level of intervention from the topmost police officers of the state. And even the FSL and bomb disposal squad is still inside this building, inside Rameshwaram Cafe, even as we speak, to collect whatever that they can gather in terms of technical evidence, what is in the CCTV, and far more importantly, the kind of explosive that has been used. Remember, now 2-3 aspects that the FSL can easily find out in the next few hours or perhaps a day is the explosive that's used, because doctors are indicating that there's some sort of chemical on the skin of the injured, and there will be traces of it where the explosion has happened. The sharpness that have been used, we've already seen, and the DG has confirmed that they've recovered that 9-volt battery from the area. So it's about putting that together in terms of evidence, finding out what was used, and then going back to see who are the people, where did they source it from, because that also becomes important. If you look at the Shimoga module, they were in fact learning it off the internet, procuring from the internet and other places locally. So all this is something that
lone wolf attacks, as Harish Upadhyay is pointing out, have become the pattern, as our expert was also pointing out. We'll of course keep tracking this story. This is the big story developing right now. The Bengaluru incident has been confirmed as a blast. Whether there's a terror angle or not, only the agencies will tell us. We also got you the latest exclusive CCTV footage, the exact moment of the blast as it happened. We'll continue getting you all the details here on Plain Speak. For now, slipping into a short break.
In association through YouTube, where a vlogger is showing them how they can come to Russia. Another vlogger has also exposed the fraud being perpetrated on gullible youth. In a video that the youth from Hyderabad and another two from Karnataka made in Russia and sent to their families, they said that they had fallen prey to a fraud. They also named the vlogger on YouTube who had trapped them. Out of the four of us, they said out of four of us, one had been taken to another place and we do not know where he is, unquote. The youth who were earning rupees 30,000 to 40,000 in Dubai were promised salaries up to rupees 2 lakh, and this is what was attractive, luring. The victim also said they were given training in handling arms and ammunition by the Russian army and forced to fight at a gunpoint at Rostov-on-Don along the Russia-Ukraine border. India on Thursday for the first time categorically stated that around 20 Indians had reached out to the Embassy of India in Moscow seeking help in returning to India. The ministry's official spokesperson Randhir Jaiswal said India is in contact with Russia to bring back the Indian nationals in the zone where Russia and Ukrainian forces are clashing. MEA spokesperson Randhir Jaiswal says, and I quote, "We have an understanding that 20 odd people are stuck. We are trying our level best for their early discharge. We have issued 2 statements which you saw. We have also told people not to venture in the war zone or get caught into a situation which are difficult," unquote. The MEA had earlier stated that all such cases concerning Indian workers stuck in the war zone near the Ukraine border had been taken up with the Russian authorities, and that as a result, several had been released. But on Thursday, Mr. Jaiswal gave the numbers of Indians who are still caught in the difficult situation. According to sources, citizens of Nepal and few other countries are also on ground alongside Indian nationals. Officials could not provide the exact number of Indians within the war zone working as helpers, but have said around 20 have sought assistance in returning home. Mr. Jaiswal clarified that India remains committed to bringing back its nationals from the Russia-Ukraine war front. Earlier this month, the MEA issued a warning to Indian citizens regarding the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, following reports of Indian nationals being recruited for support roles in the Russian army. The MEA argued caution and advised Indians to steer clear of the conflict zone. The people who were sent to Russia were trapped in Dubai with the promises of earning much larger amount than what they were earning. After they came to India in November-December 2023 from Dubai, a group of 4 youth were sent to Russia in December 2023. They boarded a flight from Chennai on realizing that they had been trapped in the name of being provided jobs as security personnel or helpers, but have been drafted into a private army without as much as their consent. 2 of them have reportedly come back to India. One was from Jammu and other from Ahmedabad in Gujarat. Their signatures were allegedly taken on a contract written in Russian language. The luring into taking up security helper job is taking place through YouTube, where a vlogger is showing them how they can come to Russia. Another vlogger has also exposed the fraud being perpetrated on gullible youth. In a video that the youth from Hyderabad and another two from Karnataka made in Russia and sent to their families, they said that they had fallen prey to a fraud. They also named the vlogger on YouTube who had trapped them. Out of the four of us, they said out of four of us, one had been taken to another place and we do not know where he is, unquote. The youth who were earning rupees 30,000 to 40,000 in Dubai were promised salaries up to rupees 2 lakh, and this is what was attractive, luring. The victim also said they were given training in handling arms and ammunition by the Russian army and forced to fight at a gunpoint at Rostov-on-Don along the Russia-Ukraine border. India on Thursday for the first time categorically stated that around 20 Indians had reached out to the Embassy of India in Moscow seeking help in returning to India. The ministry's official spokesperson Ranveer Jaiswal said India is in contact with Russia to bring back the Indian nationals in the zone where Russia and Ukrainian forces are clashing. MEA spokesperson Ranveer Jaiswal says, and I quote, "We have an understanding that 20 odd people are stuck. We are trying our level best for their early discharge. We have issued two statements which you saw. We have also told people not to venture in the war zone or get caught into a situation which are difficult," unquote. The MEA had earlier stated that all such cases concerning Indian workers stuck in the war zone near the Ukraine border had been taken up with the Russian authorities, and that as a result, several had been released. But on Thursday, Mr. Jaiswal gave the numbers of Indians who are still caught in the difficult situation. According to sources, citizens of Nepal and few other countries are also on ground alongside Indian nationals. Officials could not provide the exact number of Indians within the war zone working as helpers, but have said around 20 have sought assistance in returning home. Mr. Jaiswal clarified that India remains committed to bringing back its nationals from the Russia-Ukraine war front. Earlier this month, the MEA issued a warning to Indian citizens regarding the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, following reports of Indian nationals being recruited for support roles in the Russian army. The MEA argued caution and advised Indians to steer clear of the conflict zone. The people who were sent to Russia were trapped in Dubai with the promises of earning much larger amount than what they were earning. After they came to India in November-December 2023 from Dubai, a group of 4 youth were sent to Russia in December 2023. They boarded a flight from Chennai on realizing that they had been trapped in the name of being provided jobs as security personnel or helpers, but have been drafted into a private army without as much as their consent. 2 of them have reportedly come back to India. One was from Jammu and other from Ahmedabad in Gujarat. Their signatures were allegedly taken on a contract written in Russian language. The luring into taking up security helper job is taking place through YouTube, where a vlogger is showing them how they can come to Russia. Another vlogger has also exposed the fraud being perpetrated on gullible youth. In a video that the youth from Hyderabad and another 2 from Karnataka made in Russia and sent to their families, they said that they had fallen prey to a fraud. They also named the vlogger on YouTube who had trapped them. Out of the 4 of us, they said out of 4 of us, one had been taken to another place and we do not know where he is, unquote. The youth who were earning rupees 30,000 to 40,000 in Dubai were promised salaries up to rupees 2 lakh, and this is what was attractive, luring. The victim also said they were given training in handling arms and ammunition by the Russian army and forced to fight at a gunpoint at Rostov-on-Don along the Russia-Ukraine border. India on Thursday for the first time categorically stated that around 20 Indians had reached out to the Embassy of India in Moscow seeking help in returning to India. The ministry's official spokesperson Ranveer Jaiswal said India is in contact with Russia to bring back the Indian nationals in the zone where Russia and Ukrainian forces are clashing. MEA's spokesperson Ranveer Jaiswal says, and I quote, "We have an understanding that 20 odd people are stuck. We are trying our level best for their early discharge. We have issued 2 statements which you saw. We have also
Welcome back. The grand Ambani pre-wedding bash in Jamnagar is all set to begin today, while hundreds of VVIPs from Bollywood and Hollywood have been invited to the pre-wedding bash. The pure soft power of India is at display. Big names from the world of business and politics flocking to Jamnagar also prove the stunning growth of India's hard power. More on this in our next special report. Please have a look.
All roads are leading to Jamnagar as the Gujarati town hosts Anant Ambani and Radhika Merchant's pre-wedding festivities. The elite guest list of 1,000 VVIPs demonstrates India's growing soft power, its culture, and the increasing global clout of Indians. Tycoons, business moguls, and top executives from around the globe have flown into Jamnagar to attend the 3-day extravaganza. They include Ivanka Trump, the daughter and former advisor of ex-US President Donald Trump. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg and wife Priscilla Chan reached a day before the festivities began. The powerhouse of business leaders in Jamnagar highlights the Ambani family's influence and global reach. Prominent sportspersons are also on the list, from legendary Indian cricketers to international superstars. The biggest names from the world of sport landed up in Jamnagar on chartered flights to partake in the pre-wedding ceremonies of Anant Ambani and Radhika Merchant. A-listers from the world of entertainment are also in full attendance in Jamnagar. The biggest names of Bollywood and the southern film industry are adding to the star power of the celebrations. And for such an elite guest list, only the best have been called in to enthrall them. From pop sensation Rihanna to Punjabi superstar Diljit Dosanjh and renowned illusionist David Blaine. The 3-day festivities will be steeped in Indian tradition and culture along with a global edge. Additionally, visitors will also have the chance to discover more about the environmental preservation initiatives that Jamnagar has undertaken in recent years and Anant Ambani's work in rescuing and rehabilitating animals.
Well, from global CEOs, head of the states, Bollywood stars, sports stars, singers, pop artists, as well as the industry leaders. This elite guest list has names of over 1,000 VVIPs arriving for the Grand Pre-Wedding Bash. More on this on our next report. Thank you for watching.
The 3-day pre-wedding festivities of Anant Ambani and Radhika Merchant have kicked off in Gujarat's Jamnagar with 1,000 VVIPs flying into the city on private jets. On the elite guest list are the biggest names in Bollywood. Superstar Shah Rukh Khan landed in Jamnagar along with wife Gauri and children Aryan, Suhana and Abram. The Khan family arrived hours before the first function began. Salman Khan arrived in style in Jamnagar to celebrate the bride and groom-to-be. Bar couple Alia Bhatt and Ranbir Kapoor were also spotted exiting the Jamnagar airport. Actor Arjun Kapoor was also seen heading to the pre-wedding venue from the Jamnagar airport. His cousin Janhvi Kapoor is also taking part in the festivities in Jamnagar. Fashion designer Manish Malhotra was seen exiting the airport. The guests will be serenaded by none other than singer Rihanna, who is headlining the festivities. The celebrated singer and her entourage arrived in Jamnagar for the star-studded extravaganza. Diljit Dosanjh and Arijit Singh are also a part of the extensive lineup of musicians who will enthrall the guests with their performances at the grand event. Some of the biggest names from the world of business, sport and entertainment are spending the next 3 days in Jamnagar celebrating the couple Anant Ambani and Radhika Merchant. The grand pre-wedding festivities are kicking off with an elegant cocktail dinner themed an evening in Everland.
Viewers, it's Black Friday today. Unfortunate scenes coming out of Bengaluru. A blast ripped through a popular cafe in the megapolis at lunchtime, leaving scores injured and other customers reeling from shock. Look at those pictures, viewers. That's the moment right in the center of your screens when the blast takes place. It caught everyone by surprise. The moment of the blast, as you can see, captured on CCTV and paints a horrifying picture of diabolism. Only viewers, the most craven, could have planned such an act, a dastardly act, against unsuspecting Indians. Customers at the blast site were seen fleeing in panic, and others whipped out their mobile phones to call their near and dear ones to say that they were still alive. Viewers, 9 to 10 people, the numbers are not exactly confirmed, are injured. The blast sent ripples through the state and beyond, as such an incident hasn't been reported for a while from a major megapolis. One can't even quite remember when the last terror strike took place in the 6 main mega cities of our country. Hours passed before the state administration confirmed what was already a pretty well-established fact, that the blast was not caused by a cylinder or an electrical short circuit. Finally, after BJP MP Tejasvi Surya pulled up the state government for its apparent coyness at not calling the blast out for what it was, the state chief minister briefed the press confirming that the blast was indeed the result of an IED detonating. In short, viewers, it was an act of terror. But the Chief Minister did make considerable efforts to play down the severity of the attack, suggesting that it was of low intensity, triggered by improvised explosive device kept in an abandoned bag in the cafe by an individual who is yet to be identified. This attempt to downplay the scale of the attack is itself odd, because an act of terror, however small, is an act of terror, viewers. The NIA, NSG and the local police are already investigating the case. CCTV footage shows that the bag was placed in the cafe by an unidentified man whose image has been captured on CCTV. In fact, viewers, CCTV footage as well as CCTV cameras from all nearby establishments and possible vantage points has been confiscated by the authorities who are investigating this act of extreme cowardice and opportunism. Let's listen in to the Chief Minister, who explains in detail what transpired.